How old are you?
Hey Parker, I'm 30. How's it
And
going?
do you support Trump?
I do.
If the election were held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
If the election were held today, Harris versus Trump, I would vote for Trump.
Okay, why do you support Trump?
I want to preface this by saying I don't know if you remember me, but we did speak very briefly on Dean's Live. I believe it was 3 days ago.
Okay.
Do you remember what we talked about at all?
I do not.
Okay, we talked mainly about economics and border policy.
Okay, why do you still support Trump?
Honestly, I've actually been hoping to get back on Dean's Live, but he keeps getting kicked, unfortunately. The main thing that I want to discuss about conservatism versus liberalism is the morality, in my opinion. So I don't really care which topic you want to go about. I know you guys talk about abortion all the time. I'd be happy to go about that.
Pick
We could
whatever
talk.
one is the most convincing reason as to why you still support Trump.
Do you want to talk about abortion?
If that's the reason why you support Trump, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to lay out your viewpoints first, and then we can go from there?
Yeah, I'm pro-choice, pro-sentience. I think that it's valuable after the point of sentience. That's when personhood begins. So I think abortion is completely justified.
Okay. What do you consider sentience?
First-person subjective experience.
First person subjective. So just what would you consider, like, up to what point would an abortion be okay for you?
Yeah, elective abortions would be justified up until the elective point, or up until, it would be up until sentience. Elective abortions up until sentience, then after that point, only ones that be justified would be situations of exception, which I think would override any reason to make it illegal at that point. There's really no reason to make it illegal, because I think it would
Okay.
restrict people more from getting it in situations of exception rather than actually providing a prevention of people getting it in elective situations.
Okay. Okay. Last question though, like, is there a specific point at which you could say that this fetus has experienced the first person, whatever, I don't remember exactly how you
Yeah,
worded
23
it,
to
but
24 weeks in the womb.
23 to 24 weeks. Okay. I actually respect that a lot more than, full term abortions. I appreciate that.
After viability is just an induction of labor.
Yeah, I mean, we could argue semantics there, but that's beside the point. I do think we have very similar views in some places, though. Like, for example, I think anyone with a brain agrees that human life has intrinsic value. Can we agree on that?
Intrinsic value, what do you mean?
That human life is valuable, that we have
I don't just
value,
value
every
human cellular life, I value human sentient life.
No, I agree, but a human life, someone who is living, I'm not even talking fetuses right now, a person who is alive, whether
Yeah, I
that
value
be,
human sentient life.
see, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to set a baseline of where we agree before we debate on things, but what's the best way to go about this? My view on abortion is a little more centric than, a far-right conservative. I believe there are instances where it is justifiable, but almost all cases it's not. I'm not for elective abortions more than anything because I think we disagree on at what point that life becomes and gains that intrinsic value.
Okay,
That's my-
and why do you think that it's wrong to get an abortion?
because I view it as a human. I view that fetus as a human life much earlier than you do.
No, I believe life begins at conception.
I'm confused then by the.
Yeah, I believe life begins at conception, but I don't think it's valuable then.
Okay, could you elaborate on that as to why it wouldn't be valuable at that point?
Yeah, because it's just cellular life, it's not sentient life. In the same way, I don't think it's murder to pull the plug on an individual in your family that's brain dead.
Okay, I can agree with that. I don't have a problem with the pulling the plug on brain dead. Okay, that's That's interesting. See, I don't know. That's strange to me. I've never heard that viewpoint before. It's very intriguing. So one
Okay.
other thing that I want to get at with abortion though is bodily autonomy, because I am 100% for bodily autonomy, but I believe that exercising bodily autonomy would end, in my opinion, when it would intentionally end an innocent life.
Okay, so do you think it's murder to pull the plug on an individual in your family that's brain dead?
No, I do not. But I
Okay, but
think those are very different.
that's an innocent human life, is it not?
Yes, but it's very different circumstances.
Okay, so what you value is not innocent human life. What you value is something else. If you think that death happens at the point, it's not alive anymore. So when does life begin if death ends then?
I'm not sure I fully understand what the
You,
question
you can't
is.
say life begins at conception if life ends at brain death.
Why not?
Because those
I
aren't
mean,
the same
brainwaves don't
notions of
happen until
life.
later.
Because one's biological life and the other one's sentient life. So you're referencing two different notions of life and you're equivocating between the two different usage.
I can respect that. I think that's a fair argument.
Okay. So what's your response to that?
I mean, it doesn't change my viewpoint. I feel like that just because a semantic debate on whether or not that's life or not, in my opinion, there is value to those fetuses, however you want to, clump of cells, whatever you want to call that being at that time. I believe that they have intrinsic value and that the bodily autonomy has ended at that point because that fetus, that being, has value and is a human. And if we get into the debate of the brain dead or vegetative state, those people have had their chance. They've lived their lives. I honestly don't see the
You're not really
correlation.
describing why it's
debate.
valuable at that point. And also, I guess I could apply this to other circumstances. Do you think that the process of IVF is going to imply a process of serial murder? Because through the process of IVF, people will discard multiple zygotes and embryos per person.
I mean, I think that is, synonymous to an ectopic pregnancy.
What? No,
I feel
IVF
like,
is in vitro fertilization. Like,
oh,
it's not.
I know what it means. I'm just saying I think it's synonymous. The zygotes that are discarded, they're fertilized egg in an ectopic
No, the ectopic
pregnancy.
pregnancy wouldn't have a risk of life.
Exactly. And
Yeah, but for
those
IVF, it's
zygotes,
not. For IVF, there's no risk on the person's life.
no, all that I'm talking about, and I'm not talking about, I'm just saying that I view that zygote, whatever you want to call it, the same as I would view an ectopic pregnancy. It does not have a chance. There's no way that clump of cells could survive.
Oh, yes, it can. If they're viable, right, they
Well,
can be
absolutely.
used. It's just that they can't do so alone, which is the same thing as
With
that, like within the
extenuating,
context
exactly.
of like pregnancy. An abortion pill will prevent progesterone from going to the zygote or embryo, which inevitably will lead to its death.
Very true. Correct. Yeah.
Okay, but you're just cutting off the resources to it, and then it just dies on its own.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the question there? Like, why I don't view the unimplanted zygote for IVF?
Yeah. Why do you think it's justified to end its life?
Because it never, without some sort of overarching force from someone else, it never would be implanted.
Okay, so you value it at implantation. You don't value it prior to implantation.
I don't think that's a fair argument because I would 100%, like you said, at conception. However,
Okay, so then you value the conceived zygotes and embryos.
you gotta let me finish here. Once those are in their, what's the best way to put it? If they are fertilized within the human body, they are going to be implanted. They are going to go their natural course. If they are IVF, they are set up in such a way that they are fertilized and you can implant those externally. It's not, they're not just going to do that on their own.
Yeah.
That, exactly. You need an external force to put those into a place where they can grow. They would not grow otherwise.
So your point is, like, if we were to suppose that, like, we had a petri dish, right? Where we had it in this particular contraption.
Okay.
The zygote was on track, or on, no, how about this? Let's say that it was designated. It was a specific zygote designated to then be utilized in the future, right, for implantation. There's a date
Okay.
set where implantation will occur. Is it wrong
Okay.
if they were to discard that zygote? Like the
I mean,
person who was going to do that.
so what's the reasoning behind it?
They just don't
Change their
want it
mind, or?
anymore. They changed their mind.
I mean, at that point, it doesn't necessarily have to be discarded either. If it's set apart for a date, like the discarding of those zygotes happen when
No,
one
they
or
discard it
however
because
many-
they don't want to do that anymore. They don't want a kid anymore.
So what you're saying is they have told this, this company they've paid all this money to, whatever, that they're done. Never mind. We don't ever want kids.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, what can you do? That zygote is never going to be able to unless they agree to donate that to someone who cannot.
But that's still due to a
There's
choice
no-
that they made, and it would have otherwise occurred if they didn't make that choice.
In what sense? It definitely could
That like
have.
in other words, it would have continued. Like there would have been a kid in existence if they continued on the path they were already on. But they made a choice to go and divert off that path, which inevitably led to the death of the zygote or embryo.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think the big difference. The big difference there is that it's not. I mean, it's truly not in utero. There's no a fetus in utero. There is no extenuating force required. For
I think that's
zygote in a
applicable to the
petri
scenario,
dish.
but like let's give you a different scenario. Maybe you'll be more likely to understand. What about IUDs?
Okay.
Do you think that when they prevent not only fertilized eggs from going and preventing fertilization, but they can also prevent a fertilized egg from implanting into the uterine wall? Do you think that's wrong?
I do not have problems with IUDs.
But
wife
if
actually
you would have
has
left it up to its natural, you said your wife?
Yes.
Okay, so did you know that it literally prevents a natural process from occurring that would allow for a zygote to implant into the uterine wall? Therefore, under your view, you think your wife is a murderer.
Absolutely not.
Okay, but you understand that not only does it prevent fertilization, but it also prevents implantation, meaning it prevents a fertilized egg at conception from implanting into the uterine wall.
I do understand that, yes.
But you just said that's wrong earlier. Because again, it would have, if you left it up to a natural process, led to pregnancy.
I get that. I completely understand that. However, I'm not one of these crazy people that is against all forms of birth control and everything and thinks that everyone just, I'm not against
But this
that.
has to
I
be
think that
murder
birth
under your
control
view.
is- I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Otherwise it makes sense to be pro-choice.
Can you elaborate on that?
Like, it would make sense to hold my perspective of you just hold value later on. Otherwise, like, this is literally a zygote that has the capacity for a future if you leave it on its natural path, but the IUD prevents that from happening.
Correct. It's a form of birth control. I view
But
that
it's
as-
not just preventing fertilization. It's also preventing implantation, preventing a fertilized
Understood.
egg at conception from
We-
implanting into the uterine wall.
Correct. We agree with that. I completely understand the science behind that. I know about those. That's the big difference is when using that IUD, that is altering that natural course. The natural course is preventing it at that point.
No, the IUD is preventing the natural course.
Correct. But that IUD
Yes.
has become part of that natural course at that point.
That's not how it works. It's
I
not
mean,
natural in of itself. It's
is-
a purposeful human thing that you put there to prevent that natural process from occurring. Same way that if you take an abortion pill, it prevents the natural process of pregnancy. Therefore, it leads to the death of the embryo or zygote.
So I don't. Are you against like forms of contraceptives? I don't
No.
understand.
But I'm saying that your argument would entail that you're against IUD.
I don't think you are. We're arguing semantics here because I'm telling you that when you are using a form of contraceptive such as an IUD, that's chemical profile is meant to alter that chemistry in such a way that becomes the natural course.
Yes,
That is
you understand that that's preventing the natural course from occurring.
absolutely, it is altering that natural course. It is
Yes, which
chemically
you said
altering
was
that
wrong
natural course.
earlier.
When did I say that was wrong?
You said it was wrong earlier when it leads to the death of the embryo.
And I don't remember. You're going to have to give me context. I don't remember what we were talking about.
Yeah. So abortion pills, they're wrong, right?
Like what abortion pills? Like a Plan B pill?
Abortion pill. That's what it's
An
called.
abortion pill. An abortion pill. Yes, I do believe that is wrong.
Okay, why?
Because it's after. Here's the thing. Once let me back up. Sorry. Let me gather my thoughts real quick. I am all for doing whatever you want to do to prevent that pregnancy from happening. But I believe that once a pregnancy has happened, that alteration is incorrect.
Okay, so it's only when pregnancy has already occurred that you then value it. So then here's my question. 1 second before pregnancy, do you value it?
In 1 second before conception, 1 second before what?
Yeah, 1 second before conception or before implantation, do you find it to be valuable?
So what you're saying, this is a fertilized egg.
Yeah, 1 second
just
prior
has
to
an
pregnancy.
I mean, technically with a fertilized egg, that would be considered pregnancy.
No, the pregnancy does not start at conception.
Well, okay. Well, we can talk implantation then. 1 second prior to... So let me understand. You are talking about 1 second prior to implantation. If someone were to, take a Plan B pill, do something, would that be okay? Do I understand correctly?
No, I'm asking you 1 second prior to pregnancy. Is the zygote valuable?
Is that zygote valuable? I would say it depends on that natural course.
It depends. Okay, so 1 second after pregnancy occurs, is it valuable?
I mean, if that was the natural course, then yes.
So the only distinction between whether there's pregnancy or no pregnancy, here is the location. So you're saying 1 second prior, it's not valuable. 1 second later, it is valuable. Yet nothing about the entity changed. Only the location of the entity.
I mean, we could argue that all day too, because the cells divide at a rate that's insane, but
Wait, can you
that's a
acknowledge
different
that?
story. Can I acknowledge what?
What did I just say?
Can you repeat it?
Did you hear anything I said?
Absolutely. I heard what you said. I just trying something about location. I'm just trying to... I want to make sure I'm answering you correctly.
Yeah, you said 1 second prior to pregnancy, it is invaluable. 1 second after pregnancy begins, it is valuable. The only difference in the entity is not anything about the entity in and of itself, the embryo or the zygote. It's literally the location of it. That's it. That's the only difference.
I mean, for the sake of moving on, sure, we can agree there.
No. Like I'm asking like what your perspective is. I only want to hear your perspective change if that's actually your perspective.
I feel like a line has to be drawn somewhere, and a line is the pregnancy. I don't feel like, I don't know, but
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to go over or talk about?
there's plenty, but I know that there are a lot of other people that would like to get up, so I messaged you and Dean both privately too, but I'd like to talk with both of you on other topics as time comes up.
Sure. Appreciate you coming up.
Yeah, hey, I really appreciate you and what you do as well. You two specifically are very respectful with the way you debate, and it's honorable. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your night.